Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for staying with me. Thanks for being part of my day. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. Gene Griessman is here too, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're happy about that because it's always a treat when Gene joins us. Gene is an award-winning television personality. He's an educated man with a doctorate degree in theology. He is the author of so many books I can't carry them all. He is one of the top Lincoln portrayers in the history of mankind, and I'm happy to say a member of our Brain Trust since the beginning. And he's our good friend, Gene Griessman. Welcome back to the show.
And may I say that the friendship, my feelings of friendship for you are just as strong as your compliments that you pay me.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a true honor to have you as a member of our Brain Trust. You have been now since '98. You're a founding member of our Brain Trust, and as you know, we're celebrating 13 years on the show, and the Brain Trust is all part of that. We appreciate it very much. Gene, one of the things that you've done over the years, and I've enjoyed so much, and I know my audience has, is you have taught us lessons by using lessons that we all can learn from Abraham Lincoln. I'm starting to think, Gene, that Abraham Lincoln was an alien. He and the founders, I think they must have been aliens who somebody planted, maybe God or some extraterrestrial planted these people because they were so far ahead of their time. They were human beings for sure, but in terms of their frailties, but in terms of their minds and the way they thought about things, they were ahead of their time, weren't they?
That is absolutely correct. Let me stay with that thought just for a second. I think that there are levels that people can move to. And if you look at the early days of Lincoln, there was not a lot there that you would say this is going to be one of the transcendent figures of history. Mm-hmm. He was uncouth, didn't know how to dress. His speech was awkward. He had 1 year of schooling, but there's something about a person who just keeps getting better. I in my seminars I talk about the power of incrementalism. That is small increments that you get better by small increments every day. In fact, Horace Greeley, a great newspaper man, sometimes he was a critic of Lincoln, but he said of Lincoln, there was not a single year that passed that he was not a wiser, cooler man than he was the year that preceded it.
But isn't it interesting, though, that society today puts more value in seemingly early accomplishments than in incrementalization? Because what you're talking about is somebody who doesn't peak too soon.
Oh, he certainly did not.
He did not, so. But my point is it seems like if you're a Lincoln if you're developing like Lincoln, your peers around you may be getting more recognition because they peaked too soon, or they peaked earlier, maybe I should say. And I tell you, I like the idea of giving credence and value to time spent. What do you think?
I do too, and I could not agree more with what you've said. And the Lincoln record sustains that. For example, there's a very famous lithograph showing Lincoln as a boy in front of a fire reading a book. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that he was educating himself when he was in his 40s. For example, his law partner, Billy Herndon, one day said to Lincoln, well, can you prove that? Lincoln said, what do you mean prove? He said, as in a mathematical proof. Well, Lincoln had not studied taken math very far. So he said, well, what's a book I can read to learn how to mathematical proofs? He said, well, get a copy of Euclid. And so Lincoln, riding the judicial circuit in his 40s, took a copy of Euclid and taught himself geometry at night while the other lawyers and the judge were sleeping.
Well, and this is a kind of thing when I think about this kind of incrementalization, this kind of growing this way, I think of small businesses. It's easy to see that too, isn't it? Because small businesses don't typically. It takes us a while to grow our business. It takes a while to bootstrap, and our profits are small, and reinvesting is not all that significant. But all along the way, small businesses as they're doing that, as they're growing, as they're learning more, they're also contributing to society, and Lincoln did that too.
He certainly did. I'd mention to you that one thing that I might mention today is, or focus on today, is the power of communication. I think one thing small business people often do not do is the business owner doesn't work on his or her communication skills, and the power of incremental growth can become important there. It's not enough to be competent if people don't know you're competent.
Right.
It's not enough to provide the best service in town or the best service in the state if people don't know it's the best service in the state. And so it behooves a person to work on their communication skills, and maybe we can talk a little bit about how Lincoln did that. I
agree with you, and some people consider that to be promotion or self-promotion, and it comes across a little bit untoward. But what you have to do is have to learn how to, whether you do it in a subtle, classy way or whether you do it in an overt, blatant way, you have to learn how to do it, and you have to learn how to communicate that.
Oh, yes, you have to learn how to do that. For example, you're quite right. You have to know how to promote, but it can't come across as self-promotion.
Right.
Just by an analogy, I took a long time writing the one-man play on Lincoln, and I've memorized every word. But I know that the difference between a good actor and one who's not good is that an actor who's not very good, what he says sounds memorized.
Right.
So after you memorize, you learn to do it as though it's not memorized.
The great comedian doesn't say funny things; he says things funny. Hold on to that thought. We'll take a quick break. Right back with Eugene Griessman, 20 after the hour. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights